Hello listeners, you're listening to Wrestling Slamdown with me, Ashley Friend. We've got a special guest with us today, UK independent wrestler who's been trained by IPW. We've got Jack Clover.
Yeah, Stary.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. What actually got you into wrestling?
It's a little strange. Like, when I was young, you know Tekken, the video game?
Yeah.
The character King, I really did, I just seemed to like that sort of style. Around the same time, there's a newer friend that I had. Was also into wrestling, and you know how like kids play fight, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing some sort of wrestling moves at that point, and I recognized obviously what they were, and then I sort of got over with him, and then he introduced me into actual wrestling like WWE and such. I got out of it a couple of years because I didn't have any sort of way to watch it, like the TV that I had at the time didn't have Sky or anything like that. Eventually started being able to watch it again, started watching like TNA and actually Indies, Japan and such. Eventually just sort of thought like I didn't really have any other interest in any other career choice, and just started to wanted to pursue this as my main goal, looked into UK training, found IPW, and once I had a regular job that could sustain travel, etc., I was able to start training. And it was about a year, December 2013 is when I first trained. And since then I've been training.
So, have you had any matches yet, or have you got a match coming up?
I had some matches, yeah. My first match was against who my current tag team partner is, Jonah Devine. We had a match it was on an academy show for Full House Wrestling, which is based in Peterborough. And so that was my first match, which was last year, I believe. And I had a match in March against Jonathan Windsor, which is in another academy show for IPW this time, Future 11, I think it was, or Future 12, that is. No, yeah, Future 11. I've got a singles match on a main show in Chatham Tappan Tin, one of the 18 plus venue gimmicks, against Kieran Donnelly from D&D, which is going to be my first like main show debut as a singles match.
Yeah, I've heard about the Tap and Tin shows. Apparently they've been meant to be pretty crazy shows.
Fucking great, yeah. It's a real different kind of venue. Like, have you been to any like Progress shows and such?
Not yet. I'm planning to. I haven't been to
Yeah.
Progress yet.
If you think kind of like the ECW kind of scene, it's like that, because obviously it's sort of to the majority like older males and such, like over 18, of course. So it is definitely a different kind of perspective to what you normally have with like family-friendly shows.
Yeah.
Different style of wrestling almost as well, and obviously everybody's pretty like boozed up with all the drinks and such, so they are generally more vocal. Yeah.
You haven't had anybody try to jump into the ring yet, then?
Actually, yeah, there was. I think it might have been the first time we've done it, which was like 2 months ago or so. Entitled Blood, Sweat, and Beers. No, that was the last one. So I can't remember what the actual name of the event was, but the first time it happened, and the London Riots had a match as they got in the ring. James Davis, he has like cricket bat with him. He was obviously mouthing off the crowd as he does his heel. Someone like jumped up at the ring, and started giving him beef. So JD just like smacked him about a bit, pushing him off the ring, that sort of thing. But that's the only one I've known, of course.
So there used to be very good fan interaction. Then is the best way to put that.
Everything is good. It's all the fan interaction is how it should be. There was only that one incident, but it was dealt with smoothly.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Didn't really make any difference at all, to be honest.
No, but you always get that one person, don't you, that always tries to get involved.
You do, yeah.
Well, that's part of life, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, who have you actually going against at the upcoming show at the Tap and Tin?
Tap and Tin is with Kieran Donnelly, who is part of the tag team D&D. They are getting obviously quite over. I think they've been around quite a while. But when it comes to IPW, as far as I know, they've been around about a year or year and a half. So about 2 years, I'd say. They've had feuds with the London Riots as well.
Oh wow.
Title matches, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Really kind of like up and coming team. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're making quite an impact. They are currently as of last week, I think they are now the UKPW Tag Team Champions as well.
Mm-hmm.
So all's going good for them.
So going back to the point, I want to know more about Jack Clover. You know, what are you actually about when?
Okay. Well, the character I have is like a pikey kind of gimmick. So kind of chavvy, but more on the side of like being Irish or an Irish kind of heritage.
Yeah.
Like we wear like a ring entrance kind of gear, like wears like Lonsdale tracksuit jacket, snapback, sometimes like necklaces, like gold chains, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Tracksuits, that sort of business. Probably carrying like a can of special brew, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I can picture that now.
Yeah.
So, what was your inspiration to go into to use that kind of gimmick?
I'm not sure. It's just there was always a thing about like using maybe this like heritage as something kind of different because I was always into like technical wrestling and I had the idea of using like it's a bit silly, but I was using like the idea of having a clover leaf as a finish, and as it's a submission move, it's obviously related to technical wrestling in some way. And then I thought it might be pretty cool if I had my ring name be Clover, because then I use it like sometimes you have stuff like that like Chris Heroes uses I think one of the moves he uses is called like Hero's End, and sometimes wrestlers will use like part of their name in their the finish and stuff like that. So I thought it'd just be a pretty cool relation. And this was before I actually started training anyway. And I thought because Clover, it makes sense to have some relation to Ireland because of the it being like so related to it. And I just started to go with like an Irish gimmick, and eventually after doing like promos in training and stuff like that, I think someone suggested to me like I should do like a chav gimmick, and my trainer James Davis was saying it'd be cool. He mentioned that there's something like a pikey gimmick would be pretty cool as well. So I thought about it and put it down and like started making it as a heel character, and I think it's quite good personally, and yeah.
So, if you could go against anybody, who would you love to go up against in a match?
Currently, I would really love to do something with like people from like the World of Sport era, like such as Johnny Kidd. That might be at the top of my list. Johnny Kidd, Doug Williams, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So you sort of want to get up the ladder, basically, and
yeah. Like that's obviously something that it might be kind of out of my league and my establishment at this moment, but looking forward, it would be really cool to wrestle someone within the World Sport era. Danny Boy Collins would be another one. Yeah.
So who was, when you was growing up then, and you said you was watching WWE? Who was your actual icons?
When I was watching WWE, was back sort of like when I was 12 or 13 or something like that. Rey Mysterio was actually my favorite, just because it was so like different, and he was doing. It was a whole like underdog kind of gimmick that he had going on. When he won the World Heavyweight title, and that really just sort of like captured my eye, I guess. And then obviously I had that kind of break which I stopped watching. When I got back into it, people who really struck out to me were like Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Chris Daniels, etc. Samoa Joe mainly because like he's such a big guy, but he's able to do these crazy things like suicide dives, and he has also like a submission technical gimmick, which I really enjoyed watching.
So do you
kind of would be like an influence,
Do you think in time then you'd ever apply for a TNA British Boot Camp?
Possibly. I mean, it's definitely something which would be what any British wrestler would have to consider, because it's such an opportunity going over to wrestle to where all the money is and that, and where it's TV and people you'll have most you'll have a lot of people watching it, of course.
Oh, yeah, definitely, and also, it also helps promote yourself as well. If you don't get through,
Exactly, yeah.
it's you've still been on telly. But then,
yeah, that's true. Like Marty Skrull is just insanely over, and
yeah,
I think maybe I don't want to say the only reason, but like one of the reasons definitely would be because he was on British Boot Camp.
yeah, because now he's even on Wrestle Talk TV as well now,
Yeah, yeah.
and he's still.
Isn't he the host for that now?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And his career since he's been on that show has just gone on up and up.
Yeah, exactly.
And he didn't even win it, and he's still getting the benefits from it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that everyone should consider being part of, because it's just a great way to expose yourself and get yourself out there. Opportunities are there to be taken in wrestling.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You've got to grab it with both hands.
Mm.
So, is this something you're looking to make a full-time career out of then?
Yeah, definitely. As I think most people obviously would be on that.
Because I remember I was having a conversation, I think it was with Doug Williams actually, and he was saying that he was doing about 4 shows a week.
Yeah.
Do you ever worry about injuries? Because with injuries, if it can affect your personal life as well.
Yeah.
It can affect your work depending on the type of injury.
It's not something I've ever actually thought about, but it's definitely something you need to be careful about. Like the moves that you do need to be safe, and you need to know that you can actually do it before you put it in a match. I can't think of anything that I've had done to me which has actually been like injury prone or anything like that. But there are definitely things that I would keep away from. But I would still. It's something I would consider to have involved in my arsenal or my matches. Someone, me taking the moves definitely in the future, like things like brain busters, pile drivers, and stuff like that. Because I mean, it's stuff that people would pop for, and you get like big reactions from. You don't always like necessarily need those sort of things to get the reactions. You can obviously do other things, but at this stage, I had a very minor injury, which was like I took a gourd buster, like the front suplex move.
Yeah.
And I kind of didn't have like time to position myself into like bumping it properly. So a lot of the weight went onto just one of my arms, and it like hurt my shoulder. It's kind of like sprained, I suppose, for about a week or two. It was pretty painful, but it obviously cleared up a lot quicker. It cleared up pretty quickly. So from now on, I'm kind of like wary about that move, because it's. But as I say, it's just, if you're safe with it, it should not be too much of a problem, nor should it be like too long term of a problem.
Yeah, because that's the thing though. Accidents can happen. You could be the best trained wrestler in the world, but an accident still can happen. You've seen it with big wrestlers like Kurt Angle and stuff like that. Accidents do happen in the ring. And being an independent, you don't have that security of those big paychecks if you are injured or out of the game for a while due to an injury.
Yeah.
I still believe there should be some sort of wrestling council out there that, because there are promotions out there, and it's sad to say this, but there are ones that don't do their checks. They don't check if a wrestler is fully trained, and you do get a lot of strawberries pushing through.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Because it can still depend on who you're working with. But a lot of people would be unsafe in the things that they do. A general kind of rule of it is if you don't feel safe with taking it, then just don't take it. But I guess even like I'm lucky enough that I haven't yet wrestled anyone who's just terribly unsafe. Maybe sometimes with training and stuff, but that's it's training, so there's a lot less chance you're gonna kill yourself, because the matches that you do are like shorter, of course, less high impact. But yeah, luckily the people I've wrestled on actual shows have been good enough.
Because there has been incidents of someone who has had no training, no experience in wrestling, turn up to a promotion and say, "Yeah, I'm a wrestler," and actually been booked, and then when it comes into the in-ring performance, hurt somebody.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really happen as far as I know. Like nowadays, you'd get promoters would need to know, of course, who they're booking, if that person's good. Like if you're new to the scene, you need to obviously send footage of your matches, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's why I do think if there was a wrestling council, they'd be able to check all this and check that, that all the promotions are legitimate, they care about their performers, and it just adds a protection to everybody.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because injuries are bad. It's something that really impacts you. So if you can't work, you can't get money, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something to look out for.
And also, look, like if there's a promotion that say they didn't pay somebody, and there was all problems between that. If there was a council, then the wrestler could go to the council and say, "Look, this is happening with this promotion. I need your help," and it would just give everybody more protection.
Yeah, I think even in in the US, I believe I heard about someone going to this training at some school. But it was one of those really illegitimate places.
Yeah.
So the guy just took a shitload of money from all these people wanting to train. So he fucked them about a little bit and then just disappeared, scuppered, and took all their money. And they didn't have any experience. They just wasted all their money.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stories happening. It happens in the UK as well. There are some areas this has happened, and this is. And I have been a big supporter of this. I've always said that there should be a council, even for people in big companies. Look at the amount of wrestlers that are taking lawsuits against the WWE.
Yeah.
That's why I've always said, if there should be a wrestling council and it should happen for everybody, like in job places, you have your unions, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
And it would just add a lot more protection and make things a lot safer.
Yeah, because it's just lucky for me, I guess, that the school that I train at is as good as it is. It is pretty excellent, and they bring in a lot of places do it, but they bring in all these other stars to have guest training seminars and all that sort of stuff. And it is really good school. You do learn a lot of good stuff, and you have all these great opportunities. Like there's been crazy names. Like there's been off the top of my head, there's been Chris Hero. Zack Sabre Jr. obviously is whenever he's around, he does train us quite regularly, and that's really good because getting regular sessions from someone as again insanely great as Zack Sabre is obviously a great opportunity. It's pretty madness.
Oh, yeah, that's what you need, though, didn't you? You need some,
the high quality training,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And especially with training with that company, because they have a show as well, they can, with people, like I said with you, they've trained you, they're going to put you on the tap and tin, and then hopefully over time, as you get better, facing better competitors and push you upwards.
Yeah. So start somewhere, and eventually you will get, high enough up that hierarchy and that ranking. Because that's where everybody started. They've all started from a training kind of training kind of stage.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's it's good stuff.
Even with the training, you still got to have character development, and you've got to get over with the fans.
Yeah.
Vince Russo even said this subject on his podcast. He said, you've got to get over. You could be the best wrestler in the world and have the best ability in the ring, but if you don't have the chemistry or have the support of the fans or are rememberable, then they will forget about you after the show. If you get the fans on your side and they remember you, and look at good example of that is look at Grado now.
Yeah, over as fuck, man.
He's not.
Love him, yeah.
He's not the best wrestler in the ring, but it's his chemistry, and the fans love an underdog.
That, interaction, he is great. Yeah, I love it.
Because I would say this country at the minute, it's like what America used to be like in the 80s, where we've got promotions dotted everywhere.
Yeah.
And I can see in the next 5 to 10 years that there possibly could be one big company in the UK.
It would be crazy. Like it's um there's been a couple like sort of things around trying to get World of Sport back onto ITV.
Mm.
And Rev Pro do that weekly kind of YouTube show as well. So and we've got Wrestle Talk TV on
Yeah.
TV, of course, as well as TNA on the TV. It's definitely something that could. I'm hoping eventually it definitely should be able to come up in time, and that could be in the near future with how big on the rise British wrestling is currently.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There was actually a documentary about Progress Wrestling on, I don't know what channel it was at all, but it was on the TV recently about Progress. There's Insane Fight Club about ICW on BBC Three.
Yep, I saw that.
Definitely, eventually there will be some company, some person who will pitch it to a channel, TV broadcaster, and get their show broadcasted.
Yeah.
And that would be the equivalent to WWE, but in the UK, because obviously other countries, well, Japan and Mexico, and the US have their one main company who has their shows on the TV.
Yeah.
So eventually, yeah.
There's now with TV now. There's a lot of promotions that are getting TV deals. You know, we've got Ring of Honor that's now got a TV deal. Yeah. You know, Lucha Underground. You know, more companies are getting TV deals in America, but nothing's really happening over here yet. You know, and if you go back in history, we used to have, you know, stuff like the Big Daddy Giant Haystacks. You know, we used to have that big wrestling company on our TV. And I know one thing that is a fact that Simon Carroll has even said himself that he wants wrestling back on TV.
Yeah. It's true, yeah. It did used to be. I think it used to be as big as like the football as well.
Yeah.
And obviously, look at how big football is now in the UK. So if that kept going, where could it be?
Because we did used to have a channel called the Wrestling Channel, which used to show a lot of independent shows. It used to show TNA as well, but it used to show Irish wrestling, quite a few companies in the UK. And then they changed and went to more boxing and then got rid of everything.
Yeah.
But no, I can actually see there's a promotion getting a TV deal in the future. I wouldn't be surprised if ICW get some kind of deal in the future, even if it's with BBC Three Online.
With the way pretty open with BBC Three. It could be something that goes on.
Yeah, because BBC Three now is going to be moving online.
Yeah.
So there is a possibility that ICW could push them to be on the online on their network.
Yeah, it could work. I wouldn't doubt it.
Because if you look at some of the stars that have come from ICW as well, and you know,
obviously, Grado would be one of them who's been on British Boot Camp.
Mm-hmm. But do you think being on TV? Let's say if you was on TV on a non-wrestling show, can you see that doing damage or all being good?
It would depend. As in, like, you're establishing that you're a wrestler on this program. Is that what you mean? It would depend, I guess, on who's watching.
Did you
and what you're promoting.
Did you ever see Channel? I think it was on Channel 4, The Hotel.
No.
They had a wrestling show on there which went belly up, and it was all terrible.
Oh, I see.
And one of the guys that was on that show has said it affected his bookings.
Well, yeah, if the show was a pile of shit, then it's definitely gonna affect how like the casual fan sees it.
Oh yeah.
So you need, if something like that happened, you need to make sure it's like the top quality sort of stuff.
Oh yeah.
That reaches out. So to answer your question, it would damage you if you gave a reason for people to dislike it.
Oh yeah. But do you find now, do you find social media is a big impact in wrestling?
Yeah, definitely. It does help to get your name across. Like obviously back in the day, it would have been mostly just the people around the local kind of area or on the TV, of course. But with the internet coming up so much, companies can still make money out of it by using the on-demand services. Like there's ICW on demand, the WWE Network, and Progress have a on-demand service where people from other countries, like not normally the only way you need to be able to watch Progress is to go to their shows or to buy the DVDs. So, but nowadays people can make their accessibility to it much more easier just by subscribing to this on-demand service, and they can watch it online. They don't need to order something and wait for it to arrive at their house or travel to their venue. They can now watch it at the comfort of their own home. So and social media plays a part in that as well. I would say.
Yeah, because it's like with any company, when you start up, it takes time to build a fan base.
Yeah.
And for like with you, a new wrestler coming up, it takes time.
Yeah.
You've got to keep pushing on social media. Like to get more known, and the more people you have following you, and the more retweets, the more people that will notice it, and you get more in, and just grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
Is there anything that scares you in wrestling?
I think like not getting the notice that I would expect. I mean, obviously I try not to put my hopes up too much, but what I plan to do in the future is to have, do what all the other guys have done that are now the biggest names, such as like Zack Sabre Jr. and Prince Devitt. Obviously go like do shows in Japan and the US, sort of things that I'd want to go for. But yeah, it would you'd have to be bloody good to actually either be noticed or to, when talking to other promotions, be good enough that they would take you seriously and actually give you these opportunities. But I suppose injuries as well. That's quite scary. Getting heat with the wrong people. Yeah. Not sure what else really to say about what scares me in wrestling.
So, are you just wrestling for IPW, or are you wrestling for any other companies?
At the moment, just IPW, but me and my tag team partner, Jonah Devine, have been talking with 4FW Southeast, so it's another place that we are expanding our work into. It obviously comes with time to be able to, like, the idea is to get somewhat over with IPW first.
Yeah.
So that we've got all this like a wrestling portfolio, like a CV, so to speak. So we got all this great shit, like matches and promos and stuff that we can send to other promoters to show them our work. When we're talking about getting booked on these shows and working for them and getting paid and such. So 4FW is the first one that we've entered into. 4FW Southeast.
Also, with it being one of the bigger companies that you've been training with and working for, that can always work in your favour as well. Because
yeah, definitely. I mean, there's been praise from other places. Like I've done a bit of training with Lucha Britannia's training school.
Oh wow!
And I mentioned that I was that I train like mainly with IPW, and it's a name that they recognise, and they're like, oh yeah, it's pretty fucking good. When we spoke at 4FW Southeast, we did a dark match for the promoter. The other wrestlers who were on that day's show watched it, gave us advice, that sort of thing, and obviously asked us who trains us, and it's definitely like a noticeable thing. If you train with a reputable company and trainers, then it's definitely something that's like noticeable. Like if you've got these names under your heritage of training.
So when you first started out training, did you ever have a point where you felt like giving up, or did you all the way through it you just wanted to push through it?
Kind of a little bit. Like I've been quite discouraged a lot of times about how things sort of like progress like quite slowly. At this point, I wouldn't quit at all. I don't think I've ever had any thoughts of quitting. Only thoughts of, fuck's sake, can I just get better at this like now kind of thing.
Yeah. because it does take time, because it is a skill and it does take time to perfect your moves and your in-ring ability. You know, it's not a thing you can learn in a day.
Yeah.
You know, there's but there was one guy I know that went in for wrestling training. After his first training session, after he left, he puked his guts up and never went back.
Good.
So you do have to have the passion for the business, because if you haven't got the passion, then you don't belong here.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah. When it comes to something that you want to do as something that you love and you want to make it like your career, it's definitely something you've gotta stick to, and that's when you can see like that motivation in people. I have seen those kind of examples where they've started training and just quit because whatever reason. Like I could tell you so many stories about all these all these like strobes that have come through.
I'll
Like
go on then.
yeah, the first one I can think of, we a nickname that we gave him was the Miz because he had like hair kind of looking like the Miz, and I don't know, we didn't really like him, sort of thing. And he was like a massive indie mark, like love PWG, Ring of Honor, that sort of shit. I do too, but I mean, and as far as I can see, he wasn't really he was kind of, I suppose, disrespecting the basics and all the things you meant to learn first. Probably wanted to just go into doing cool super kicks and shit like that. And eventually he just left without a word. And under my assumption, I'm thinking it's because we were learning the basics and not learning cool moves. So he was just like, fuck this. Or maybe he trained somewhere else now. I don't know.
But you, like you said, you do need to know the basics. You know, how to take a bump, how to fall, and because if you don't and you just want to go the quick route, then you're going to end up hurt and injured, and it could end up ruining your life.
Yeah, even more than that, you won't be able to tell a story or have a normal match. All of your matches will be the same as well.
Yep.
When we were trained by Ricochet, with a seminar at Ricochet, he mentioned this. He said like there are a lot of cool like backyard people who can do better flips than me, but they can't put on a headlock. And it makes sense. If all you can do is a bunch of cool flips, I mean, I like flips and all that. It's all good stuff. It's all fun stuff. But you've got to know. There are certain things in wrestling you need to know, such as you need in this era at least, you need to know how to run the ropes. Of course, you need to know how to do a bump. You need to know how to hit the turnbuckle, the bump, the corner post. Basically that.
Yeah, when you saying that, like Noam Dar, when he had his turn-up boot camp, when he was in the TNA ring, he slightly struggled with their ropes because it's a lot tighter.
Yeah, there are some ropes that are quite different. It's advised. I think it might be Paul London who said this. It's quite good to when every time it might be him or Doug Williams. I'm not too sure. It might even be either. But what someone said, whenever they turn up for an event, what they do is, they test out how the ropes are. They want to get just want to feel how the ropes are. They run the ropes a little bit because it can change in different places. Some places will have like quite a low roof, so you'll need to have the ring on the ring post. There's sometimes two. Obviously, different rings vary, but with our ring, there'll be two different sections. So with some places with a lower roof, you need to put the ring basically lower, and this will make the rope running different. You know what I mean? So it's definitely something you need to. Different ropes, yeah. Different places have different ropes,
Oh yeah, as well. And so when you said you were wrestling, you said you were very technical. So is it sort of English mat wrestling that you do?
Yeah. I train a little bit of MMA, so there's. I really hate like MMA gimmicks and shit like that. But I do definitely incorporate some like submission holds.
Yeah.
Very simply, submission holds, sometimes sequences from BJJ and stuff, because it's just something I really like doing, like holds and such. So it's generally like that, like the basic like traditional British / water sport wrestling kind of style, there'll be a little bit of influence of jiu-jitsu, but it does definitely blend into the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, like the roots of wrestling can be shown to be related to martial arts, of course.
Yeah.
And specifically, grapple-based martial arts. So like judo, sumo wrestling, jiu-jitsu, etc. That's all I can think of.
So in wrestling, so what do you watch nowadays?
I don't watch too much nowadays as I used to. What I try to keep up with as much as I can. The shows that I watch nowadays would be Progress, IP. Like it's more and more British that I watch now because it's the business I'm involved in, basically.
Oh yeah.
New Japan Pro Wrestling. Sometimes a bit of Ring of Honor, PWG, IPW, and Progress. So IPW and Progress are the ones I'm mainly into.
Yeah,
that I watch, yeah.
Because even I can say the American wrestling's not great at the minute.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't watched a full WWE show in about 2 years. I haven't watched like a full TNA show in about a year. It's not really that good, like what I'm doing in that case, because it's something I should be watching because it's the big wrestling. It's the thing that everyone watches. It's still like keep up with like the stories that they have.
Yeah.
Like what's going on. NXT is amazing. I do like to watch NXT.
Oh, NXT is how a wrestling company should be.
Yeah, so I don't watch Raw or SmackDown, but I do watch NXT.
I don't watch Raw or SmackDown either. I can't. They have about 25 writers for one show, and I'm like, why do you need so many writers for that one show?
Yeah, it's annoying that you can get some like disrespect and heat from people if you don't watch WWE. They're just kind of like, that's crazy. It's the wrestling company that you should be watching. It's the wrestling company. It's the biggest one. It's insane that you're watching it, not watching it. But I think to myself like it's not a product that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So I don't want to watch something that I don't like.
Precisely.
You know what I mean?
Precisely. It's I've always said the sooner Triple H takes over the WWE, the better.
Yeah, I suppose.
But the same's going on with TNA, because TNA used to be fantastic. You look back in the times from 2004 to 2009, their product was brilliant. Their X division was like nothing other.
It's kind of like what NXT is now, because it's NXT obviously features a lot of indie guys.
Yep.
And the TNA during that time featured a lot of indie guys, mainly Ring of Honor guys.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you'd be right there.
Yeah, it was like they let Hogan and Bischoff come in, completely changed the company, made it worse. They did their version of the NWO with Immortal, and it just ruined the product.
And they had Aces and Eights, which Aces and Eights was pretty cool, I think, but it went on way too long.
Yeah.
It would have been a really good angle if it was on for about, I think it was like 6 months, but the actual angle went on for over a year. It was like a year and a half.
The problem with TNA is Dixie. That is the problem. It's Vince Russo was saying once when he was writing there, she kept booking these people that he told her don't book them. Right. They haven't got the chemistry. They will not get over with the fans. And he's saying the way they run it as a business, he's surprised it's still going.
Yeah, it is strange.
He said, they were promoting him to head curator, and they said to him, you've got to move to Nashville, we're going to increase your paycheck and everything. He put his house up for sale and got ready to move over there, but his paycheck was never increased. He told him about it for 6 weeks. They did not increase his paycheck. So he said, you know what, I'm gone. And he left.
Yeah, I don't know how they really survive as a business. Like, I don't know how they get their money, really. It's just mind-boggling, because the amount of people that don't like TNA, you get, like, I don't know anyone who watches TNA in training other than, like, one person, maybe. On on indie shows, if TNA is mentioned, everyone chants "fuck TNA." Like it's, I used to really like them, but at least like one of the best things they've done is British Boot Camp.
Yeah.
I said gut check if they actually fucking did something right with it.
Yeah, but Gut Check was more of a gimmick, more than
it was a story.
where Boot Camp was more about the wrestling, and the people they've signed from Boot Camp have had success.
Yeah,
you know,
it's very hit and miss with TNA. They do a lot of really good shit, but they do a lot of terrible stuff as well.
Oh yeah.
Another good thing that they did was finally stop doing shows in the Impact Zone. Like, man, that's the worst crowd. They just suck. They didn't shift nothing. And
they're back at the Impact Zone now.
Are they permanently there?
Permanently.
For fuck's sake, what are they doing? Like, it's people want to watch. People do want to watch TNA. Like, so people do want to watch it, and people who are living in, let's just say, I don't know, Iowa. Like, let's see, it's the first state I can think of. That's fucking miles away from Florida.
Yep.
And if TNA come over and they're like, "Yo, Iowa, we're some city in Iowa, we're gonna do a show in your ends. Come watch it." You're like, "Fuck yeah," but they're not. So why would I care about it? It's just ridiculous that they don't like promotions are meant to move around.
Oh, definitely.
WWE obviously do shows fucking everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
They do loads of different shows in different countries. IPW have done a show in Germany. They do shows in different towns. Progress, unfortunately, have only been in 2 venues so far, but I'm pretty sure they'd be able to expand.
Oh yeah.
So that's what a company is meant to do. Any like performance kind of related company, even like circuses and stuff, they move around so that people from different ends can see it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I have no idea what the fuck TNA are doing by being in this one area.
The reason they've gone back there is because they were making a loss at moving around because they weren't selling the tickets.
Ah, I see. Okay.
And people were refusing to go in because of the quality they were putting on.
I suppose that makes more sense.
So that's why they've had to go back, and they're back at the drawing board. But, I think they're going to be at the drawing board for a long time until they do a reshuffle of the people running it. I think Dixie Carter needs to do is go, do you know what, Russo? Come in, you run the wrestling side, she runs the business side, and TNA could be absolutely fantastic.
Do the majority of the wrestlers in TNA on the roster live in or nearby to Florida? If they're signed to that place, that's the only place they work for.
With TNA at the minute, a lot of them are all over the place because
that's what I was thinking.
They do pre-recordings now. They record, I think they did a show a day in 1 week. So try to get about 6 shows done, and then said to the wrestlers, "Okay, we'll see you in a month's time." So then the wrestlers go off to where they want. That's why Drew Galloway at the minute is doing ICW. He's doing Progress. He's doing somewhere else. He's all over the place.
Yeah, because I know that they they still do a lot of like indie shows, not really in the US, but it's places that don't. In the US they because there's a contract that went on where they can't do any shows for places that have DVD sales. However, they are able to do shows in the UK.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, Bram works at TNA, but he's done a show for IPW.
Yeah.
Drew Galloway, as you mentioned. Ken Anderson, IPW as well. So, but yeah, I was gonna say, like, if they're only based in Florida and they have people signed for them, I was thinking, but I forgot that they did tapes. So I was still under the assumption they do live show every week.
Has there been much change since Russo actually came in?
Not really. It's I think like I don't know. It's not being touched on at the moment, at least. It's something that I suppose is still in, like, the whole angle, like the whole that like elite group that he has, which is like Jimmy and the Riots, Johnny Storm, etc.
Do you
Eugene? Yeah.
Do you have much involvement with the back room at 1PW?
With IPW, what exactly do you mean? Like, Well, backstage.
Like with your show you're going to do at the Tappan Tin, do you speak to much of the creative on what's going on and what's the plans?
Well, with independence, not doesn't really happen that much
Mm-hmm.
because unless I suppose you have an idea for an angle, but it's still something that you touch on when you're like more established. At this moment, like I talk, obviously I talk to the promoter Dan Edler about like something that I think would be pretty cool, such as, hey, I've got this promo, check it out, kind of thing, or
Mm-hmm.
like. At this moment, no. It's something like for him to decide who I have matches against.
Mm-hmm.
Once because I don't wanna like run before I can walk or push myself
Yeah.
too far into business that I don't know much about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think like it's something that I'm there for him to decide what to do with me.
Oh, so
He knows what my character is.
yeah.
Um, Obviously, he knows that I want to be on matches,
Mm-hmm.
on shows, so it's something that he decides to do, and I don't want to like piss him off by saying, yo, you should, hey, you should book me against fucking,
Yeah. It's like it's like
this really big, this really like established guy that I have like I'm not that level at.
Yeah. You've
Like there's someone who trains with us who he's put in he's been put in a match. It's a multi-man match,
mm-hmm.
and he says when when he got booked in it, he says to him, "Dan, thanks for putting me in this match. Can I win?" And that's not what you say, man.
No, it's not.
Like
It's not.
it's the same as, "Thanks for checking out this promo. Can you book me against Grado or somewhat like? Can you book me against Al Snow?" I don't know why I said Al Snow. Can you book me against Kurt Angle, someone really established that you aren't at the level at.
No, because you do have to walk before you can run.
You need to get to that level first.
Yeah.
So at the moment, no, I don't have any sort of communication with creative.
So basically, it's they call you to let you know when you've got a match and where it is and everything else.
Yeah, and then eventually, of course, when I'm more over with, not just Edler, but also with other wrestlers, I can say like, hey, I think I could have a good match with this guy. How about it, kind of thing. Because there's a lot of people who I'd really like to have like matches with. The only time I've actually done that is I've asked, using a promo as well, I've asked Edler if he could book me with against Jonathan Windsor, and I really enjoyed that match, and I hope he did too. And that's the only time I've ever asked him for like a specific opponent.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something I'd want to do on a regular basis unless I'm established and there's a reason to put me against this person. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, and that all happens over time. The more matches you have, the more you get known and things like that, and the more you grow as a wrestler as well. Your gimmick grows. Yeah,
your fan base grows as well. More reason to put you against these people.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because the fan base is one of the main things.
Yeah.
You want people after your match talking about it. You want people to talk to other people about it, word of mouth, and that is the biggest way of advertisement is social media and word of mouth. We're coming to the sort of near the end part of the show. Do you want to tell the people the dates when you're at the Tappan Tin, whereabouts it is, and who you're against?
Okay, yeah. I'll put over some general stuff. So, next week in Tunbridge, IPW, my tag team partner, Jonah Devine, is in a match with Sammy Smooth on the VIP pre-show. I believe, we also have a match on the week afterwards. I can't tell you who the opponent is now, as I don't know. But that's something I don't really know much about yet. It's something that I'm assuming because it's an academy show and we're quite established within the trainee group. You know what I mean? So hopefully something will be around there. Should be announced, obviously, maybe next week because it'll be the week before. So there's that. Jonah Devine against Sammy Smooth next week, and August 23rd there will be myself against Kieran Donnelly. in Chatham, the Tapatina Cham. Also on my Twitter, you should be able to find a promo I did on that. So check it out, people.
Do you want to let people know what your Twitter handle is?
Yeah, it's at Celtic Thug. Thug like boy.
So, when did you actually move down this way from Ireland?
I was born in England. It's literally just my parents were Irish.
Oh, right, okay.
I gained like half an accent from living with them, basically. I've been to Ireland a few times as well, obviously, for that reason. But, yeah, I've never actually lived in Ireland. I only like visited and have the parents of it.
All right. Well, I want to say thanks for coming on this podcast.
Grant, it's been good.
I've enjoyed having you on. I hope this helps more people come down and see you perform. I wish the best in the future for you, and I look forward to hearing more about you in the future. And I'd love to have you on again after the show and to give us an update on how it went.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good, man.
So I want to say a big thank you to the listeners. You've been listening to Slamdown Podcast. We will be on next week, and I will keep you updated on who the next guest will be. Thanks for listening.
Thanks very much, Ashley. Cheers.